With this theme of cafe paintings and bar paintings, I selected some 19th century paintings, The Plum by Manet. I think this is Manet also in a bar. Manet. This is Degas, the Absinthe Drinkers, and details of Edward Hopper's paintings. And the difference, I suppose, here is that these paintings deal with crowded scenes, these ones, and this is more a figure in isolation in a public place, and these are very much about isolation with Edward Hopper's paintings. From these 19th century images, we then had a choice of looking at, or a selection of contemporary paintings of cafe scenes, which are subject to copyright, which is why I'm sending this as a private YouTube video. So this one, for example, has some rather nice silhouette type colour interpretations, rather abstract, yet sort of between abstraction and realism. And this one also has some of the abstract elements. And I suspect they're worked from photographs, although they might also be worked from drawings. I very much doubt that these are painted in situ. So last year we looked at an artist briefly called Rob Poynton, and he had painted cafe scenes inside and outside. So you've got the outside element and the inside element. And it's that sort of inside-outside that adds another dimension to the subject. So there's another one, inside, outside. And it's not even a person as such, it's the back of somebody, it's not a portrait. What's also interesting is the cup of tea or coffee in the foreground, which is the viewer, in fact. So the viewer becomes part of the painting through the unfinished element and the cup of tea or coffee. So I liked this painting, and I liked the element of outside-inside, and I wondered if I could adapt it into another composition, something quite different. So I took the image and flipped it in the computer. That means I turned it. This inside was over on the left, and now it's over on the right. And if you send me an image, I can do that in the computer and send it back to you electronically. So I wanted to take this setting, or this platform of this strong vertical, and this outside and inside, and use this girl, this person, as part of this new painting or new drawing, but by adding a table in the foreground. So I've made this drawing which combines the element of the girl and the table, which wasn't there, and the teapot and so on, with the car and the street scene, and these rather nice windows that go back into space, and this interior, which will be warmer colours and darker colours. So I have a working drawing which will be the basis for the painting. And I think quite a lot of artists work in this way, particularly with the subject of a cafe interior, which would be quite difficult to photograph adequately, also very difficult to paint on the spot. I don't think the cafe owner would appreciate it. So I've taken the drawing and put a grid over it, and then I've taken this larger piece of canvas and drawn a grid on it, so I can transfer the drawing easily to the painting, to the painted surface. And I think that way of working allows for some degree of flexibility at the drawing stage, which is more economical. So how did I make the drawing? Well, I took the figure of the girl and used some of the qualities of that we talked about with portraiture, particularly the head. So if the head is an oval, start with something like that. And then where's the eyes are going to be sort of somewhere here, the nose is somewhere there. So all those are basic proportions. And where's the vertical axis? Somewhere over here. So in this case, the vertical axis is more like 1/5 to 4/5. So it pushes it right over here. But it doesn't matter that it should look like this person. It just has to be a bit like them. So by doing this and cutting in, I can get some idea of the profile. I can put the eye on that line without even looking at the photograph. I can have the eye sort of there. I know the nose comes over almost to touching the cheek, somewhere there, and the mouth is 1/5 on that side on the left of the line, the vertical axis, and 4/5 on the other side. So begin to get something that looks like a face just from those proportions. And I did observe the shoulders and where they are, and I used a vertical line to line up with the arm, where this arm holding the cup is, and the distance between the cup and the mouth. And I used a vertical again to get this arm in, and I compared the width of the knuckles with the distance across the face to keep the hands in proportion. So I took the drawing of the girl and made up the table. And obviously this isn't, before putting in tone, light and shade, I just took the drawing of the girl, its simplest form, and then I worked out where I would put her in this setting with the windows and the inside and outside. It did take a little time, but this is, I hope, getting towards an original composition where it's not exactly like the painting and it's not exactly like the photograph. So that's one example of perhaps how this could be taken forwards. Other ways of doing it might be to just extend the photograph a little bit. So if I have the photograph of the girl, which is underneath here, I could just extend the table and have a window over here on the left and leave it at that. So it's just a little bit of modification to the photograph, bearing in mind some of the qualities in this painting by Rob Poynton, which I think he's not used a straight edge anywhere in this. It's all wobbly lines, so everything is hand drawn. So that's what I tried to do in this example. I haven't used a ruler anywhere in this drawing. So to start with, we need a working drawing, either that can be very close to the photograph or ideally a bit more of individual adaptation, particularly where it comes to the foreground. But I think what makes this painting interesting is that cup of tea here and the table right in front. So extending the table or enlarging the image to have a table in front with something of the sitter would be, I think, a good bit of invention to have in the painting. Then when we get to the painting, we've got cool colours outside and warm colours inside. But I'd be interested so far in us concentrating on making a composition at this stage.